And joining us now, great to welcome on our Book Talk segment, man, is going to help us, hopefully, in the business world or sports world, or wherever we might be, get psyched up. That's the title of the book, How the Science of Mental Preparation Can Help You Succeed. We're joined today by Daniel McGinn. He's the senior editor at the Harvard Business Review, and he joined us by telephone today. And Daniel, good to talk with you. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're up in Boston, right? How are things up there today?
It's hot and sunny here. It's a nice day in Boston.
There you go, yeah. It's about the same down here, a little cloudy, though, but good to have a chance to chat with you. I read through the book, and I guess everybody at some time in their life, even if you're not in sports or professional sports or an actor, you got to get psyched up in some part of your life, right? Usually for maybe a job interview, so it can't apply to everybody, right?
Yeah, the idea here is that, we see Olympic athletes or professional athletes. We see them walk into the games. We see them on the sidelines. Many of them have a ritual, a set of things they do before a game. They're listening to certain music on headphones. There's actually a lot of research that shows that can be a powerful set of techniques, and that if you're in sales, if you're in teaching, if you're a lawyer, if you have a job that requires you to really bring your A game a few times a month, if you can learn to do something like that in your job, it'll increase your odds of success.
I know a lot of teams now, professional teams, hire sports psychologists just for that purpose, right? The players can talk to them and get helped out as far as how to get prepared. So that's a science that's been in sports for a while now.
So it has, yeah. It's more prevalent in certain sports. So baseball, golf, and tennis, I think, are the big three when it comes to sports psychology. But one of the things I learned in reporting the book, and I think people can benefit from knowing this, there's a lot of sports psychologists around the country that are happy to see high school athletes, youth athletes. This is not the kind of therapy where you spend, 40 sessions talking about your childhood and your deepest, darkest secrets. This is very, you go in for a session or two, they talk to you about a specific set of techniques. It's very tactical. So if you have a kid who's playing a club sport and you're spending a lot of money on that, and they're having any problems with sort of nervousness, anxiety, it could be worth looking up one of these people and getting some advice. It's not going to take forever, and it's not going to cost a lot of money either.
I know you talk in the book, and I guess anybody who's gone on stage, whether it's in a play or just talking in front of people, everybody gets some jitters, but you say in the book trying to calm it too much is probably not a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's one of the surprising bits of research here. Before somebody goes on stage, they're trying not to be nervous, and everybody will tell them to calm down. That's actually a very hard thing to do. We're programmed biologically to sense a threat and to respond to it, and to try to be nervous to try to be calm when you're very nervous is going to be a challenge. The research shows the better technique is to try to channel that away from nervousness and to instead be excited. Think about the upside, the opportunity. I'm lucky to be here to show off my talents today. Try to turn it into a positive, upbeat mindset.
Yeah, it's almost counterproductive if you're not a little bit nervous, right? That nervousness is good in a sense because it keeps you on your toes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it can help energize you. You just need to not let it become debilitating and not turn it into... You have to recognize it as a simple biological response, and that it doesn't necessarily have to impact your performance negatively, and it can increase your performance if you use it correctly.
You also talk about, and we've all done it, in whatever form that's good for you, a little meaningless rituals that can help. I guess that probably just gives you something mentally that you can accomplish before you go on stage. Is that the point behind doing a ritual like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of research across all sorts of different sports and other kinds of endeavors that people who do the same set of activities and thoughts before they perform tend to do better. Humans crave routine, we crave ritual, and especially in a moment that can be anxious, knowing that we have something to do, even if it's something like LeBron James throwing chalk dust up in the air and doing special handshakes with all of his teammates. It gives your body something to do, and it can cue you up and say, okay, it's like the on switch on an appliance. So those things can be very powerful if people take the time to develop one.
You see that a lot in baseball. You might have even mentioned it in the book about Wade Boggs. He would eat the same meal every day before a game and had the same ritual in his locker room. I guess a lot of baseball players have that. They do the same kind of put the right shoe on first or left shoe, whatever. So a lot of ball players do that.
Sure. Boggs was probably the most famous for it. I think it's partly because baseball, you have so many pauses in the action when people are walking up to the plate. So not only in a lot of sports you'll see people with their pregame rituals, but baseball you see see a lot of in-game rituals, so it's a lot more obvious.
Now, you also talk in the book, I was interested to read, because you hear a lot of people take a pill or something, or they ask for a pill from the doctor, maybe help them with nerves. I guess in some cases that can be good, but you got to be careful, don't you?
You do. I was surprised. I was pretty unfamiliar with this, to be honest. I started talking with people I knew, and it turned out a fair number of them were using a drug called beta blockers.
Right.
I'd never even heard of this stuff, but I learned a lot about it. They started out, it's a cardiology drug, actually. It was meant to help your heart and your blood pressure, but they discovered that basically how it works is it makes your body react less to adrenaline, and so that if you're public speaking or if you're in some sort of a nervous public situation, it helps you get rid of the dry mouth and the shallow breathing and the swallowing and the kind of sweating, the stuff that we think about happening when somebody gets nervous on stage. So I've talked to a lot of people who've used this to help them overcome the symptoms of public speaking nerves, and for some people it can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, I would think it would go against a little bit, though, what we talked about. That little bit of nervousness is good for you. If that pill takes that away, I would think that would be counterproductive. But I guess in some cases the beta blocker can help.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely still feel the energy. I mean, if you're standing up on a stage in front of people, you're not going to go all the way down to zero, but it takes the most annoying, nuisance-creating symptoms, and for some people, at least, it serves to reduce them. And one of the things we should say about it's hard to tell how much of this is the placebo effect.
Right.
People who take these pills are taking them because they think they have a problem and they're looking for a cure and they want it to work, and so it could be a situation where I want it to work, so it does help.
Yeah, interesting story there about comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He might have even done an episode on it, I'm not sure. I think he did, where he had that leather jacket. I think he did, but that leather jacket made him feel confident that you put that in the show, but that actually is something he used in his stand-up act, right? To feel comfortable going on stage, his jacket.
So, like a lot of people, he has a backstage ritual. He listens to the same set of songs. He spends a few minutes reviewing his bits for his stand-up routine. And then the important moment for him is 5 minutes before the curtain goes up. He puts on his jacket, and he does it the same way every time. And he says that, if you watch him, you wouldn't think it's anything special, but he says, when I put that jacket on, that's my mental cue. That's telling my body, okay, it's time to get ready to go do our trick there. And he's an example of somebody who, these rituals don't need to be, crazy flamboyant. A lot of people are doing this stuff silently in their heads. They're just doing normal looking activities. They don't need to be super elaborate or public. You can sort of quietly have your routine that helps you get in the mindset to perform.
Great tips in the book. It's called Psyched Up, How the Science of Mental Preparation Can Help You Succeed, no matter, even if you're not a professional athlete or anything like that. It does help you in everyday life, particularly with job interviews or wherever you might be. And we've been talking with Daniel McGinn today. Daniel, do you have a website you want to give out? People get more information about the book?
Sure. The website for the book is www.psychedupthebook.com, and it's available at bookstores everywhere.
Great. Daniel, pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.